Is this working? Yes? Okay. Hi. So, I'm going to talk about my experience running a group celebrating 4 ayahuasca ceremonies a year. So this group has been working since '97. So I think it's good to share what has been the experience of 8 years following and working with a group that has been quite consistent. There has been some dropouts and some newcomers, but the core group, around 15, 20 people, has been the same for the last 8 years. So we meet in this place in the Alps, in Mongolian yurts. We have found that for doing this kind of work around structure is very helpful. It's like the Malokas in the Amazon. It creates the form of the group. So it's very good to work in this kind of structures. So, as I said, we meet 4 times a year, one for each season. We start the ceremony sharing mapacho, usually in liquid form. Mapacho is the tobacco from the jungle, so we do a decoction, we share it, and we start like checking in. It's some sort of an application of group therapy into the Amazonian medicine tradition. So everybody tells something about their lives, how it's going, the challenges they are facing, their growth opportunities, their difficulties. After 8 years, the group has become very supportive and very kind of everybody knows each other very well. So it's also an opportunity to get back together. I would say that it's the same dynamics of normal therapy group, but greatly enhanced by the ayahuasca work. So after checking in, there is what we call the intention round. Everyone states one intention for the night. For the 2 nights, we work Friday night and Saturday night. So they make a reflection on what their life is at the moment, and they start, I think they start starting the relationship, the communication with the plant. They start reflecting on what they want to ask for the plant that night, or what they want to use this space for during the night. So it's a moment for reflection on how their life is going and what they are needing at the moment. At that point, if anyone can give feedback or wants to share something, it's also a good moment for doing so. We welcome the newcomers. Usually there is 1 or 2 guests that come to join the group, and then I give all the necessary information. Usually it's the basic rules of the ceremony. That means being concentrated, not disturbing others, not coming out of the group for a long time. We explain where everything is. Usually to the first comers we give a lighter dosage, because one of the things I have seen in many groups is that maybe somebody comes from the first time and they get a huge glass of ayahuasca and they get completely terrorized, and some people don't even come back, you know. So for people that have been drinking regularly for 8 years, some they ask for like bigger glasses, but for newcomers I think it's very important to go gradually, you know. Then we do some stretching, some body work to get ready. And then we practice Vipassana meditation before drinking. We have found that this is very helpful to create the group consciousness, if you can call it, to create a sacred space, to create silence, to focus onto what is going to be the work. It's like mindfulness, vipassana meditation gets us into this frame of work, this mind state already. We drink. At the beginning we continue with the silence. When the effects start, the music we use normally, it's more corresponding to the traditions of Peru, Ecuador. We can start with mouth harp or with instruments that create a state of trance. In Ecuador they say that the mouth harp, these sounds that creates a lot of harmonics, no? It's a way of calling the spirits of the plants. Then as we try to mirror the effects of the brew with the music. As the effects start becoming stronger, also the music becomes stronger. We can use frame drums. We also use the hang. The hang drum is an instrument created in Switzerland. It has it's a percussive instrument but has notes, and it's very rich on harmonics. It's an instrument that by itself it can take you into a state of trance. So this is the first part. Is with ayahuasca we found that at the beginning you reach the peak very quickly, and so this is usually a time when people purge. They can purge inside of the yurt, or there is just outside of the yurt there is a very beautiful space that we call the purgatorium, and people go there. It's a very beautiful place with trees and beautiful views, so it's a great place to vomit. So people go a lot to the purgatorium. Then when the peak effects are starting to subdue, to get a bit more manageable, people start participating more. At the beginning it's more like the Peruvian or Ecuador or Colombia tradition. When the curandero gives the brew, people cannot move and it's only the curandero who sings. In this setting, at the second part, people start acting a bit like the Brazilian syncretic churches tradition, so people join into the singing, and it's also very beautiful. We have seen that one of the best things you can do with a group is sing together, and learning to sing together is something that creates community. So some songs we keep on singing them since 8 years. Many are Santo Daime songs. Others come from Camino Rojo tradition. We can also sing Bob Marley, that we think is a saint as well. The Beatles, anything that at the moment we feel that can be sacred and that can be good to the medicine. Many times we feel that we are singing to the medicine, really. It's not so much as we are drinking the medicine. Sometimes we can feel that the medicine is drinking us, really, that we are there for serving and for doing like beautiful work for the spirit of the medicine. And this phase can go on until the morning sometimes, depending on the energy of the group. In 8 years, what we have seen is that many participants have developed a lot their creativity. Some of them have learned to play an instrument, or they already knew how to play, but they have developed it much further. So there is lots of participation, like single members of the group start playing, giving songs to the circle, and this has developed beautifully in these 8 years. There is a big difference on the music we made at the beginning and the music that we are making now. It's really beautiful to live that.
Has anyone ever died during the ceremony?
Died?
Yeah.
Died. I mean, symbolically, yes. I mean, I wanted to talk to you about that later. For us, what we have experienced is that maybe the maximum experience you can get with ayahuasca is death. It's like ayahuasca basically kills you. But in order to make you more comfortable with the idea of your own mortality. It's a bit like a rehearsal. No? So, yeah, and 10 minutes, okay. It's a way of coming to terms. In psychotherapy, you can argue that the fear of death is one of the basics of our human. It's a human given. No? It's something that we have to come to terms with, and I believe like the way you relate to your own mortality has a lot to do with your psychological health. If you're in complete denial, it's a cause of neurosis and fear. If you are really aware of it and if you have experienced it, it's something that you are more familiar with in a way. You have been able to come to terms. So in these 8 years, many members of the group have gone through the death and thankfully rebirth experience. So nobody has kind of stayed there. And anyway, there is plenty of space to bury people around. In the countryside. That was a weird question. Okay, I would like to talk about the day after. We do what we call the integration process, integration round. First, in the morning, we paint for 1 hour. So this is a way of starting to process what we have experienced. And also this, we can see the effects of creativity. The paintings of the 8 years ago are not the same paintings that we are doing now. It has developed enormously. Then after this part, we do the sharing round, integration round, when everyone shares their experience, shares their visions, their insights, and there is a moment for making a reflection on what we have learned and how we can use this knowledge in our everyday life. Ayahuasca, we can say that it teaches us by going beyond the intellect, beyond the rational mind. So what we do in this integration round is bringing back as much as we can to the intellect, because we also need that for applying what we have learned. It's not, I'm sure that you can learn a lot from ayahuasca without talking about it afterwards, but I've seen that it helps a lot to put it into perspective, especially to find good ways of applying it to everyday life. Yes, we found this very important. And also it creates a lot this group consciousness. Everybody is sharing their insights. Usually there is a lot of communication between the participants because something that somebody says resonates with the experience of somebody else. We learn a lot listening to everyone, listening to each participant process. So it's a very good moment for learning as well. Then we repeat all the operation on Saturday. Usually the Saturday ceremony we go much deeper. So the Friday tends to be more about purging, more about connecting, getting back in relationship with the spirit of ayahuasca. And the Saturday we can go deeper. So Saturday usually we take stronger dosage. As well, the body is already with the medicine, so the effect is much higher. And on Sunday we say goodbye, and then we say goodbye for meeting for the next season. And in these 8 years, we can say it has been very safe. Nobody has been harmed or nobody has had negative effects. I have to say we are very careful with the screening, so nobody with psychiatric problems or is loud. So this is very, very important as well. Do a very good screening. I don't know if I have how much time I have left. 5 minutes.
You have 5 minutes.
Okay.
But then you have 10 for questions.
For questions. Okay. So I wanted to talk about the ethical parts of this work. I think it's completely unethical to open this kind of work to everyone. It can be harmful for people who are vulnerable psychologically. So it's very important to do a screening, to do interviews to people who come for the first time, and of course during the ceremony being as how can I say, as neutral as possible, leading the ceremony with music, with icaros, with hymns, but not doing anything that can abuse the suggestibility of the people. It's like recently we have heard about groups that begin to do really heavy psychotherapy work during the ayahuasca without even asking permission. So we consider this completely unethical. When we are taking ayahuasca, we are in a very, very vulnerable and suggestible, you say in English, like open to suggestion stage. So it's very, very important to respect that and to be respectful with the participants. What else? Yeah, what I have seen is in this group is, apart from the building of the love between the participants, that is the aim of group therapy. Really, it's opening the hearts, opening the relationships, being able to develop deep bonding with the rest of the participants. We can say that group therapy works when people that had difficulties in opening themselves to others, opening their hearts, they manage to do so into a safe and dedicated space, then learning how to open up, learning how to love others, they can bring this to their everyday life. So we have seen a transformation of people attending the group. Now we are more open people, more loving people. The level of fear has diminished as well. This is thanks to ayahuasca teaching. As I said last conference here, very often ayahuasca teaches us by terrorizing. It's like she shows us our fears, but with like a magnifying lens. She confronts us with what we are scared about. And by doing so, it gives us an opportunity to, not to panic and not to run away. One metaphor that I use a lot is sometimes in Spain, in the villages, the little kids, they used to be very cruel with animals, and they tied the dogs, stray dogs, they tied a rope with empty cans on the tail. So when the dogs start moving, the cans started making noise, the dog got scared, so he started running, and then the cans did a lot of noise. Then the dog ran even more until the dog gets into a complete panic. So with ayahuasca, it's a bit the same. We are afraid of something. We start, oh, no. And then this running away makes it huge. Then we start running more, and then it gets enormous until you learn how to stop and look. So you stop as the dog stops and looks behind and see that it's all empty cans, that it's only the running away from that is causing the fear. And then you learn, it was this that was scaring me. And then you learn how to go on. And I think this is the gift of freedom that ayahuasca is giving us, the freedom of living without fear. And I think is maybe the best thing that we can aim to in this life. Thank you so much.